Hi, I'm Callum from Tyne Valley Motorhomes, and this is the handover of a Auto Trail Vline 635 Sport. So as we start the walk round on the driver's side of the vehicle first, if you open the driver's door, and just here is your gas level indicator. So once you pop the engine on, this will tell you how much gas is in your 25 litre underslung gas tank. So you'll be able to know when it's ready to refill, or should you have enough gas on board. Here you have your mains hookup point. So to hook the motorhome up, you get your hookup lead, lift the collar, lift the flap on the van and hook the motorhome up. Hook the motorhome up first, then the sight, and do it in reverse order when unhooking the vehicle so that you're never walking around with a live lead in your hand. Underneath the wheel flap is your external cold water fed shower. So you'll be able to pull the blanket stop out, pop the other end in there, turn the pump on, and on the other end of the hose you do have a trigger gun. So you'll be able to hose the dogs off, yourselves, your boots, so that you're not getting into the van dirty. But make sure that the pump's on to get a pressurised flow of water, and it is only a cold water feed shower on the outside. This is your cassette. So to open your cassette locker, you've got a habitation key. So you'd open that and then you'll push both in and release the door. Lift the handle, slide the cassette out the vehicle. You can now either carry it or you can wheel it to your waste disposal point, which is normally beside your toilet block on site. And then to dispose of your waste, take the cap off, press the orange button at the back, tip the content of the cassette out. Once you have, there's normally a tap there, so you'd pop a bit of water in, give it a rinse, tip out again, and then you'd go in with a cap full of your chemical, which is 4 ounces or 120 ml of either the green or the blue aqua chem into here, and it's good to go back into the motorhome and be used. Directly underneath you've got 2 taps, so you've got one being a grey one being a blue one. These are your drain down points for your fresh, which is the blue, and your grey, which is the waste. So should you've taken on any contaminated fresh water, you can drain off your fresh. If you are winterizing the vehicle or you're not using it for a couple of weeks, drain off your fresh. On the way out of your site, you would open your grey over the grid and you would let the water out, because you don't want to be travelling with the added weight of dirty water, because there's no real reason that you need to travel with dirty water. So open the grid on the way out of your site, let some weight out. It'll mean your vehicle's better on fuel, and you have more room for your belongings, for your payload. And then remember, both of these open in the winter when it's stood in the storage yard or parked on the drive, so that no water can freeze in the chassis tanks. 2 Dometic fridge vents. This is your vent for your heater, so it's a flue for your heater when it operates on gas, so that's your water heater and your space heater. It does operate on electric as well, but make sure that this is obstruction free at all times. And it also gives you the location of where the boiler is, so it's underneath this back lounge on the driver's side. At the back of the vehicle, because it's a Sport, it's got the tailgate. So you've got the tailgate, got your high level brake light, your bullet style reversing camera, and then this one has got a tow bar on with 7-pin electric. So if you're planning on towing, it's all set up for that. And then press here, be careful as this is quite heavy. And in here you do have some storage. This little cutout here is for this handle, so should you not be able to access or open the latch, this is a safety feature so that you can always open it by pulling the handle, but you'd have to do that through the lounge. Got access into here from the back lounge as well. And then in this corner you've got an external barbecue point, so This will use the gas on board instead of carrying a spare bottle to power a Kadak or external barbecue. So what you'll need to do is you'll need to get a quick release connector which pops in the bottom of here. You'll need 2 Jubilee clips, one to connect from the quick release connector to the orange gas hosing, which you'll have to go and buy, and then the other to connect the hosing to the Kadak or barbecue. Then you turn the gas tap on to allow the gas to come through to this point. Here you have your boiler, so your boiler's housed behind here. This little drain off yellow valve is a drain off valve. So in the winter it's very important that you drain your boiler down when you're not using it. So from the back end of October to March, April time, you want to make sure that the van's got no water in when we're experiencing cold temperatures in the winter. So to open it, all you need to do is lift the toggle and stand it up, and you'll see the water drain off underneath the van. So that's 10 litres of water it'll drain out. Once you've opened this, you want to open your fresh and your waste on the driver's side of the van. You want to go into the van and you want to open all your taps and remove your shower head from your shower hose and lie that in the shower tray. That'll mean that no pipes, no lines can house any water and potentially freeze, because frost damage isn't covered under warranty. It's your responsibility to drain off your motorhome. And then when you're ready to reuse it, you'd obviously shut the fresh and the waste, shut the boiler, shut all your taps, build your shower head back up, fill the vehicle with water, go inside the van and put the control panel on and turn the pump on, and open the kitchen tap to the cold side of the tap first. You'll get a pressurized flow of water straight away. As soon as you start going to the hot side, it will cough, splutter, make all sorts of noises until you get a free flow of water from the hot side. This is when you know that your system is then primed. Once you do one tap, do them all, and then you're ready for the season ahead. But don't worry if it coughs and gurgles the water, it's just filling the boiler up with 10 litres until it pushes it through the tap. In here you've also got some bits and pieces. So you've got a table leg, a table outdoor feet, some leveling ramps, obviously cougar bleed can go in there as well, and you can store bits and pieces in there. And then on this side you've got your gas filling point. So it's an LPG tank, it doesn't take a bottle. So you'll need to go and find your local station that sells LPG. If you do take it abroad, it's far easier to find LPG than nearly on every station. And to fill up, what you need to do is take the cap off. It's a bayonet fitting. So you'd put the filler gun in, and then you want to twist the neck of the gun to lock onto the bayonet fitting and then pull the trigger back. Once you've done this, you can then press the button on the display, like a little green or black button. Press and hold it, and it'll start to fill with LPG until it cuts off. Once it stops, this is when your tank is full. And a tank like this from empty is probably going to take anywhere between £22 and £25, depending on how much you're paying for LPG. And it'll last a while depending on how you're going to use it. Again, using the habitation key, you can open your water. So your water filler is a lockable cap. So when it turns like this, it's locked. Pop the key in, turn it, push it in, and remove the cap. Go and buy yourself a hose pipe with some hose pipe connections, as it's mainly just a brass tap on site. Flat end of the hose into there. Other end, put your adapters on, connect it to the site's tap, and fill the vehicle until it either overflows, you've got a full tank, or you can look on board and see how much water is in your freshwater tank on the control panel. Step switches here, so you can retract the step and bring the step out. But when you turn the engine on, the step will automatically retract and it won't come out when the engine's running. So you've got to turn the engine off to then put the step down. Got this light here, which is just a touch sensitive light, so you can turn it on and off on the side of the counter. Your diesel opens with the main fade Decatto key and you can fill with fuel. Tyre pressures are on the passenger slam panel, so 5.5 bar, which is 79.5 psi. Toolkit is underneath the seat, which includes a jack and a brace and a towing eye. Underneath this compartment in the floor, this is where your engine battery lives. So when you're parking her up in the winter, if she's on the drive, you might want to put a charger onto the engine battery itself. Lift this cover off and you can access the top of the battery. Or if you ever need to replenish the battery in years to come, you'd have to lift the battery out through the cab floor. And you've got your bonnet release, which is on the side of your passenger dashboard. So you've got your screen wash. Lift these three covers off and the cover lift off, and you've got your power steering fluid, your coolant, your brake fluid, your oil filler and dipstick. Paint codes on this sticker, 611 for the Grigio aluminium. And then if you need to jump start the vehicle, because the battery's underneath the cab floor, you can jump it from underneath the bonnet. So this is your earthing point for your black jump lead. And then put your key in this cover between the air filter and the headlight, just here. That is your positive, so that's where your red one goes for giving or receiving a jump start. 3.5 ton gross vehicle weight, 6 ton train weight, so that's the motorhome, and whatever you're towing can't exceed 6 ton. And then you've got your front and back axle weights. Inside the vehicle, above the habitation door, you've got your 12 volt control panel. So starting with the button in the top left hand corner, which is your master switch, which turns the vehicle on, either 12 volt if you're not hooked up, or if you are hooked up you'll get mains 230 volt, so you'll be able to use mains appliance. And then underneath you've got the master switch for your lights, which are all then individually switched around the vehicle. And below that you've got the pump. So you put your pump on to pressurise the water for the taps, toilet and shower, should you have enough water on board, which I'll show you how to check. In the top right you've got the awning light, which is the light on the outside of the motorhome. And then here you can scroll through the different settings. So it tells you your Sergeant EC363 control panel. Click again. It tells you that your leisure battery reading and it's charging, so that means you are hooked up. Take the hook about to get a true reading of the batteries, your vehicle battery, and then your water. So it's saying fresh 50%, waste 0. So you've checked your water, you can now turn your pump on and pressurise the taps, toilet and shower, because if you don't have the pump on you'll just get whatever's left in the lines and it will just fade away. To operate the Truma CP control panel, which is your heating and hot water, so you press and hold a long press to turn off and a long hold to turn back on, and then just click it once and you can go into the menu. So in the top left hand corner you've got a picture of a motorhome with a thermometer in. This is how hot you want the inside of the motorhome to be. So if you click on, you can go all the way to 30 degrees being the highest, or all the way down to off if you don't want it on. But once you're happy with the temperature, you would just press enter, and that's preset that to 30 degrees of heat for the inside of the motorhome. Next you've got a thermometer in water, so this is your hot water. So making sure you've got enough water on board and that the boiler is closed, which you'd only open that in the winter. You've got Eco, which is 40 degrees of heating your water. Hot, which is 60 degrees of heating your water. And Boost, which will turn off the heating and prioritise the water first. So for this we'll just say hot, 60 degrees, and you would press enter and save that. And then next you've got your energy source. So you can have it on gas if you were wild camping, as you wouldn't have any other source to heat the vehicle or the water off. You've got mix 1, which is 1 kilowatt of electric, which is 750 watts, and gas. You've got mix 2, which is 2 kilowatts of electric, which is 1500 watts, and gas. You'd use this more in the winter if you're in desperate need to heat the vehicle or heat the water. Both sources together reduces the time it takes to heat each source. And then you've got EL1, which is 750 watts of electric, and EL2, which is 1500 watts of electric. So depending on the amperage the site gives you, whether it's 12 or 16 amp, will determine whether you use EL1 or EL2. But on most sites throughout the UK, you can use EL2. May just be on the smaller sites abroad, you've got to use EL1. But if you are tripping the electric out on the vehicle or the site, it might be because you're overloaded, so just turn it down. So if it is on EL2, turn it down to EL1 if you run a mains kettle or a large output appliance. Fan speed, so you've got on eco, high or boost. So eco takes a smaller feed of 12 volt and is a lot quieter if you want to sleep with the heating on. High, obviously it circulates the heat on a bigger fan speed, and then boost, it'll use all the fan speed, max it out and boost the air circulation around the van. In the bottom corner you've got a timer, so you can time the heating to come on and off just the once. Clock for the main display panel time when the times change, and then the spanner. So should you get a warning triangle in the middle here, you can go to the spanner and you can go to reset. It'll come a preset, press again, and it will restart the control panel, so you'll have to go in and set the temperature, the water, the energy source and the fan speed all again. So in the kitchen area you've got 3 gas burners. So once you've had them on, if you turn them off and allow them to cool, so that it's cool enough to put the glass lid down, otherwise there is a chance that you could shatter the glass lid if they are too hot. And then underneath you've got your grill, and underneath your grill and then once you've primed the gas through, your oven will light as well. You may want to just take your oven shelf and grill pan out when travelling, as it can cause a bit of rattling when on the road. You can either wrap them up, or you can put them in the backs of the seat rests. Should they be wrapped up and clean, put them in the backs of the seats and it'll stop the rattling when you're on the road. Underneath you've got some storage, and then pushing the catches in with the drawers you've got. So you've got 2 drawers here, 2 drawers this side, this one being your cutlery drawer, and then 2 cupboards on the bottom. These are your gas isolation taps in this one, so any problems with gas you can isolate each individual appliance. But these are mainly for when the vehicle is annually serviced. And you've got your water pump in there as well. And this side you've got a fire extinguisher and some storage. To operate your Russell Hobbs microwave, you've got to be hooked up, as it's an 800 watt mains power feed, and then you just use it to select your time, or you can go up in 30-second increments, and then you stop it. And you may want to just take this out when travelling as well, as it can cause a bit of rattling. Again, best place for this is just in the back of here, but it's up to you. And then when you get on your site, you can pop it back on in your microwave. To operate your Dometic fridge, which is a 3-way fridge, so it works on gas when you're wild camping, it works on electric when you're hooked up, so whether that be when you're at home and you're pre-chilling the van, charging the batteries before you go away, You'll want to put your fridge on a few days before on electric, which is this one here. And you turn it on and off by pressing this one here. So put onto electric a few days before you go away. You can charge your leisure battery, you can pre-chill your fridge, and then the night before you go away, you'll want to load your shopping in. Allow that to chill for a good 8 to 12 hours. And then when you come to drive away, unhook the vehicle, start the engine and press the battery setting. Once you press the battery setting, it works off the engine when it's running. So it sends a feed from the engine to the fridge, and it'll keep the fridge at that temperature was that when departing. So whether you're moving from home to site or site to site and you've got shopping in, pop it onto the battery setting and it'll act as a giant cool box until you arrive back on site and either hit electric, or if you're wild camping and you didn't have any source of electric, you can hit gas. This side you've got your temperature, so when pre-chilling have it on all 5. Once you pop your shopping in, 3 or 4, just because 5 sometimes can freeze the fridge. And then when you're not using the van, you want to ensure that your fridge is left open. So you don't want to shut the door because it forms an airtight seal and it'll trap the air in the fridge and cause a smell in your motorhome. So on the side of the light there's a little toggle. Press it in, pull these 2 out, rest the door upon it, and you can see that the door's loose. That means it's not shut and air is going in and out of the fridge to stop smells in the motorhome. Underneath your seat on the driver's side, just behind your fridge, is your power supply unit by Sargent. So you've got a system shutdown button here, being this black button. So should you want to make sure that everything's switched off when you're storing it, you can press this button here and that'll stop any power drain from the leisure battery. You've got your heater and charger on electric, so just leave them as they are. If they are popped out, your heater will not work on electric, so just make sure that they're always illuminated when you hook up. Just don't touch them, leave them as they are. All your 12 volt fuses, which are listed what they do and the ampage, so do carry an arrangement of 12 volt blade fuses. And this side you've got your trips, so you've got your MCB and your RCD. So if you're struggling to get electric and you're wanting to know if it's the site or the van, try tripping the van out. If the van doesn't trip out, it's not the van because it's not receiving mains power. And then on the door, each auto trail gets a unique build number, so if you ever need parts, quote that number. We'll pop it into auto trail system and we'll find the right parts for your motorhome. Underneath the opposite side, behind the cooker, you do have your leisure battery. So it's in this concealed battery box. So if you ever need to change it, just open the battery box and you'll be able to lift the battery out. You've got your 20 amp battery fuse and you've got some storage this side for your bits and pieces that you want to carry. All your little reading lights are individually switched, so you can turn them on. There's 1, 2, 3 and 4, and then this type of light you just press the end, so there's one here and one underneath the microwave, so you can get under counter lights. So to make the back U-shaped lounge into a bed, what you've got to do is slide these 2 out into the middle and then use the backrests, which are here, into here, and that has formed your double bed across the width of the motorhome. You can remove these back sections to give a bigger bed widthways, but it's entirely up to yourselves. To operate your TV, you've got a master button in this corner, so make sure that that's pushed in and you'll get the light on the bottom of the telly, which will be red. Point your remote at it until it goes blue and the TV comes on, and then every time you move site you do need to retune your TV. So on the remote there's an orange button, AQT, press and hold, press OK, and it'll do an auto search and it'll find as many channels as it can in your location. So in the washroom, you've got your shower curtain there with press studs on, so that'll just press stud onto there to block the toilet out when you're having a shower and cover the door. You've got your toiletry cabinet, so push the mirrors in and you'll be able to store behind them in the cabinet. Push the sink in and you've got a fold down hand basin, but when you're using it, don't fill it too full, because when you tip it up it drains into the reservoir underneath, and if you tip it up with too much water in, it'll overflow the reservoir and start spilling down your shelves and the back of your toilet. So to operate your toilet, what you've got to do is ensure that the pump's on, as it's a freshwater fed flush. Press the blue button. The fan's going to come on first, so when it's flashing the extractor fans on, press it until it goes to a solid light and it's turned it off. Then you can press and you can put a small amount of water into the toilet to lubricate the seal between the bottom of the toilet and the top of the cassette. And then don't use it yet, open the blade before you use it. So this is the blade, slide it to the right, it opens the hatch between the toilet and the cassette. You can now use the toilet, flush after use. If you've bought the blue and the pink together, obviously this doesn't use the pink, but what you can do is you can dilute it into an empty spray bottle, spray the bowl, flush, and then close the blade back to the left. Once you get 3 green lights underneath the diagram of the cassette, it's indicating that the cassette is full. So you need to pull it out the side of the van and empty it, and if you do it in this routine of opening the blade before use, flushing it and closing it after use, when it does indicate, you'll be able to slide the cassette straight out, because if you do leave the blade open, the cassette physically won't come out the van because this is left open. So it needs to be to the left to get the cassette out the side of the van for emptying. To operate the accent head unit, so if you turn it on, put your ignition or engine on, as it does need the ignition to work, press the home button, you'll get this screen. So you've got navigation if you want your sat nav, FM tuner if you're struggling to get DAB signal, DAB signal, the camera, so you can press the camera there, and once you select reverse, so the engine needs to be on, and again once you select reverse, it'll come on with the rear view camera. You've got your navigation, so you can click your nav and it'll load up. And what you can do is delete this route off first. It's showing you a map of where the van's located. So if you want to start the sat nav off, go to the 3 lines in the bottom right hand corner, new route, so you want the picture of the flag and you want to put address, and you want to search in the middle bar your postcode or your town, select go to town, it'll give you an overview, select as destination, and it'll start the destination routing, and your sat nav will begin to lead you to that destination. Should you have been anywhere, it'll be in here, or history, DAB tuner, so you can just press DAB and you can see all the channels there. You can press P1 to P6 to preset your 6 favourite channels, and you've got the same on FM, but you'd normally use DAB. Got a USB in the top glove box here, which is for your connection for your phone via USB, which is just here, and then to connect via Bluetooth, you just press Bluetooth, add a so you want to you want to find accent on your phone. It'll look for this when that's looking for that. It's called accent. You pair with it the pins, 4 zeros, and then it'll ask you if you want your contacts to be saved. Just press allow and it'll download your phone book, and then you can use it for streaming music over as well. As it doesn't take a CD, you just press this music icon in the bottom right and it'll use the music off your phone. So if you're using Spotify, Apple Music, SoundCloud, anything like that, it'll download the music off there and pop it through the van when you're traveling. Anything else you want to know on the cab, we can show you on the day, but we thought we'll go through the head unit because that's kind of the most complicated bit about the Ducato. Everything else is very straightforward to use.